Hi everybody, it's great to be back at the Jumpin Hall Club, and we've got a great friend of ours tonight, Mr. Sam Baker. Hi Sam.
Good to see you, long time no see.
Yeah, it's been great to have you back. It's been so many times you've been to Newcastle, and
right.
Yeah, I couldn't film out the first time you came, but I know you had longer hair the last time.
I did, not the last time, but the first time. The last time, I don't believe that was the case, but I think we started 8 or 9 years ago, don't you think?
Oh, definitely. You came solo, and then you had a few guests with Chip
Dolan
and Carrie.
Carrie came. Don Conoscente came.
Don came, yeah. And then you're back to solo again, which is brilliant. Which you're used to playing all the time. So welcome back.
Well, thanks. It is great to be back.
Yeah.
And thank you for doing this.
I've got to tell you one bizarre story I've got of Sam Baker. One summer, quite a few years ago, I was coming out of the cricket match, and I had a band t-shirt on, and there was an old gent at the turnstile, and he said to me, "Do you like music?" And I says, "Yeah, I do like music." He says, "Have you ever heard of a guy called Sam Baker?" I says, "You're joking." He says, "No, have you ever heard of a guy called Sam Baker?" I says, "Well, I have I know the guy."
Actually, I know him, right.
He says, "I'm going to see him playing in a couple of months' time," he says. And he says he's fantastic, and he says, "You know what's even better?" I says, "I don't know." He says, "He's got the same name as me."
It was a Sam Baker.
It was a Sam Baker, an old gent at the cricket. And isn't that bizarre? There must be hundreds of Sam Bakers.
No, there's not. It's kind of there are not that many. If you look, it seems like it should be a common name, and it's not nearly as common as one would think.
Wow. So you were brought up in Texas, weren't you, Sam?
I was born in a very small town out on the Texas prairie.
Yeah.
It was a town of livestock and small farms, and that was most of what made the town stay afloat.
Right.
And since the Second World War, the town declined and continues to decline. There's just not enough work or jobs for people, and so the young people that are born there, they move away.
Right. So did you get an opportunity when you were old, anything, to see any of the old-time blues guys like Lightnin Hopkins or Mance Lusk?
I don't, but when I was a young man, I worked in the field, the cotton fields and the maize fields, and I worked with a man who had grown up with Lightnin.
Yeah.
And that was, he talked about Lightnin and said Lightnin was what he called a skinny young man who always had a guitar.
That's a great call.
But it is interesting to, even in my lifetime, to have that direct connection to the great Lightnin Hopkins, who is one of my heroes.
Mine too. What about the folk singers like Townes Van Zandt and Guy?
I never knew Townsend. I didn't start music until my first record was 2004.
Yeah.
And up until 2005, I was working. I just had day jobs. I was building apartments.
Well, funny enough, though, in a lot of your songs, you can hear a lot of Texas in them, a lot of rural. It comes out in.
Right. Well, I mean, that's my life. The great writer Marquez said that every story that he ever told was a story that he had heard before the age of 5. And I believe that's the case. I think as children we learn and are imprinted by the stories that have meaning in our lives, and I think that is what happened. The later living around Texas or on the East Coast or in Austin, I think had far less of an influence than that prairie beginning.
Yeah, definitely in your music, and
certainly in language. The language was so specific to that place, and so specific to Texas and to my people who had come through the South. So they had retains some of the speech characteristics of Tennessee and Arkansas and Mississippi. So a lot of the language was distilled through those accents and through I think what I would call constant readings of generations of people of the King James Version of the Bible, that they had that same rhythmic structure. I think Faulkner had the same thing. If you read Faulkner, he uses a lot of those same cadences.
Yeah, it makes it unique. It makes your music unique as well. The story, definitions of the lyrics.
The observations, the way and the way it's the way language is displayed and used is that's some old stuff. That comes through, I think, through Appalachian down through the lower South. But it is, I think that, for so long, the only book that people had was the Bible, and the King James was the Bible that people used. So I think that's the distillation, is it filtered through the lens of those people as they moved south. And that's what they carried with them. I know that my grandmother had some very old Bibles that were signed, and I don't know if it was a custom here, but in the South they would have a page in that fine onion paper of the children that were born, the people that died, and it was just a rolling lineage.
All right. No, I mean, my grandma and granddad used to look at the deaths in the paper all the time.
Exactly.
But that's,
Exactly, but that's a land that had hundreds of years to develop a newspaper industry and to develop a written history of who was born and who died.
Yeah, it's important.
And in that young country, as people traveled and moved and left so little behind, I'm not sure that we had the infrastructure to record who was here and who was not here. And so many people came and went, and the only record of their passing was in somebody's Bible on a page of onion skin.
Yeah. So what's getting back to where you're on now?
Yeah.
What's Austin like these days? Sam, it's been a while since I've been there.
Well, I live actually on the outskirts, and it's a place that I live in, but I don't know it well. It's changing so fast, and I'm a bit more like Boo Radley than someone who's a cosmopolitan figure.
Well, you seem happy. Yeah.
I'm happy. Everything's great. I'm busy. I work. There are lots of things to do. I've got an art show, a visual art show in Santa Fe in September. I'm back in the studio to produce a soundtrack to a play, and then we raise the play, and it's a film documentary with some wonderfully talented film people, Nielsen Hubbard and some of his collaborators, and we do that in August.
I don't know how you've got the time to do all this.
Focus. It takes more focus than I normally have, but this is a wonderful time, and sometimes when the wheat is ripe, it's a good time to be working hard.
Great. I mean, when you're touring, say the UK, do you get inspired by this countryside and stuff?
Well, I love the touring. The time is an issue. How much time do I have to do it? But last night in Glasgow, I got to see so many of my good friends, and tonight I hope to see a number of friends. After being here off and on for 10 years, I've met a lot of people like yourself and like other people, and it's a wonderful gift in my life to be able to spend time with people I care about, even if it's only for a few minutes.
Well, likewise, Sam. You're always welcome in Newcastle and Gateshead, and it's always a wonderful occasion when Sam comes to play for us. He's a unique talent, and he's a wonderful man. And looking forward to your new album, Sam. hopefully you will hear something of that tonight.
I'll do some things off of it tonight. We'll take off and see where that goes. And it is so beautiful to be here. I'm traveling with a friend of mine who's not been to England. And one of our stops in the morning will be that beautiful Angel of the North. And we will walk beneath that and feel the wind and possibly rain. And it will be both beautiful and memorable.
Thank you. I mean, put your arms out like that while you get there. Just feel the spirit.
Feel the spirit, and also feel the wind, because that wind does blow up there, as I recall.
It certainly will. Thanks, Sam. Thank you.
Good to be back.